Hi, for our second video recording for tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about tooth growth since the section that we're looking at is about, kind of this tapering off of growth in the body. So you have rapid growth during the first 2 years, physical growth, and then you have sort of a tapering off and more of a growing that happens in smaller spurts. So, one of the um, ways that people grow, of course, is through nutrition, and nutrition is related to your mouth and oral hygiene. Um, Growth is also attributed, as you know, to growth hormone, and growth hormone only occurs at night when children are sleeping. So I don't know if it's related to the circadian rhythm or not, but at night, as children sleep, growth hormone is released, and bone growth, I've read, is only done at nighttime. So then you start adding in the consequences and effects of low levels of sleep, resulting in less growth and perhaps shorter in stature in childhood. I am aware that I think we saw this in the someplace in some of the material we've gone through this semester, that children in um, some Nordic countries sleep on average 2 hours a night more than children in the United States. And I don't know if you're aware of how tall people are, for example, um, in some Nordic countries. So Dutch people happen to be, on average for men, 6, 3, and on average for women, 6 feet tall. And if you don't believe that, then you can do what I did a couple summers ago and go to Amsterdam and walk around, walk around, and you, uh, unless you're already quite above average in stature for our country, you will be dwarfed by everybody, and I certainly was. Okay, let's take a look at the relationship between, teeth and dental hygiene, growth. We know from your reading of the chapter that there is a relationship between nutrients and tooth growth. We know, for example, that the only reason I'm not clicking through this is because there are some pretty unusual images in here of mouths, and you might be able to see down in the corner a child with fangs. And so, if you're a bit squeamish, I wouldn't peek at those tiny images. I can try to move them off the screen, but nevertheless, there they are. So, an obese child, for example, a child that has significantly extra body weight as a small child, 3 or 4 year old, is going to have earlier eruption of teeth. Not just those initial baby teeth, but all the teeth. So you start to get into some of these teeth that are moving towards your molars, and that's not supposed to be an advantageous state. I mean, in some ways, it's interesting to see that increased, let's say nutrients, even though there might be excess calories, increased nutrients, in fact, do sort of push the body into an advanced state of development. So I'm not actually saying that's good or bad. We don't want children to have excess body weight. We know that can cause all sorts of future problems with diabetes and lack of physical exercise and self-esteem, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it is interesting that extra nutrients do get teeth growth early, which makes us think about, how much control we can actually have with the development with adding nutrients or taking away nutrients. So we know from a part of this chapter that psychosocial dwarfism is a type of physical slowdown that happens with children who have very poor social support. You might just call it lack of love. I think psychology doesn't like to use the word love very often, but lack of a nurturing, attachment filled, positive attachments. Other those types of words are more used in psychology tend to have very small bodies, and when they're placed into situations where they're physically, rather emotionally nurtured, they do grow again. Their growth hormone will turn back on. So bodies are very sensitive and in tune with the emotional climate and the dietary climate. Right. So what I wanted to do is take a look at these teeth because, as you know, teeth are budding. So this is a depiction of some baby teeth formation. Here you have the set of baby teeth. And then this next slide is that's at 6 months, going to show you about the time of the first eruption. So you get these little baby teeth that tend to pop out. Here's two baby teeth. And then you have about a year. So if you're someone who likes to memorize things, then that's fine. I mean, I'm always struggling if I should memorize things or not. But 6 month lower baby teeth, 1 year the upper baby teeth meet the bottom two baby teeth. And you're going to get some small molar growth here. But for our purposes right now, since we're looking at older children, you can kind of start to see, and this is what I want to show you, this budding right here of the secondary teeth. So these are the baby teeth that will shed, as we all know, starting around the ages of 6 or 7. They'll start to come out maybe a little earlier, 5, 6, 7 in there. These teeth buds, as you can see, they don't grow from the root down. They grow from actually kind of the top down. So what you have is these little discs forming. And as you can think about, if there's decay in this tooth, that decay is going to filter down through this root. This gold part is the root. Look and touch that top of the brand new tooth, the permanent tooth below. So preventing dental decay in here is not only important for the way this child is going to be eating and being able to approach food without pain in the mouth, more than loose teeth and erupting teeth will cause, but you're risking the health of the teeth down below. So you can actually be creating decay where you don't think you are by leaving rotten baby teeth in there. They have to be removed. Sometimes I've even seen baby teeth have to be crowned, so it can be extremely expensive. Things like leaving juice bottles in sleeping arrangements with children who are 2 and 3, and they have a sippy cup at night. And you've all heard this, but you can't have juice in there. That juice will erode the enamel. Even breastfed babies can get tooth decay through having breast milk in their mouth. And generally that's seen as some pitting in these teeth, and they need to be filled. There's really no way around it. And it's no fun to bring a 3-year-old to get teeth done, but find a dentist that's a pediatric dentist. Find someone who will let a child lie on top of you. You can lie in the chair, have your child lie on top of you. And generally, if you catch these, you have good dental checkups, they'll catch these little pits and they'll fill them really quickly without an anesthetic. All right, so what I wanted to kind of get past this, and so I sort of go to this NPR site because I remember the politics of tooth decay. And what this particular scholar on pediatric dentistry is saying here, and I'm not going to play it because there's a transcript, but I'll talk you through it. There was a boy about 7 years ago, this is from 2007, this story, who died of some rot that went through and gave him a bacterial infection that became systemic. So this particular story is about having to do care for all, he says here basically an $80 extraction of the tooth would have saved that particular boy's life. And what do we notice? We notice that there's a relationship between poverty, poor nutrition, and he says here the Medicaid system has paid so poorly with such administrative challenges that isn't worth the dentist's involvement. So they choose not to be involved in it and have separated themselves from the system. So when he's saying the system, of course, he's talking about children who live in poverty, who need access to dentists, end up in clinics where they're waiting forever, or the times are very difficult for parents to get to. So that's basically what I wanted you to get out of this particular story. And as we go through, you can kind of take a peek of that, and you can return to it because you can see the name of the story and it's on NPR. So the final thing I wanted to show you here was an academic article. Now this article is called The Impact of Poor Oral Health on Children. Oh, I don't want to, there we go. Poor oral health on children's school attendance and performance. So these are dentists that did this research, and the article was published in the American Journal of Public Health, which we know is a reviewed journal where other professionals will read this article to make sure that this research is done well. And what they talk about here, and I'm just going to look at the abstract because that's where our time, our time will permit that. So it looks like that they found in their study, and this is from 2011, that children with poor oral health status were nearly 3 times more likely than their counterparts to miss school as a result of dental pain. Absences caused by pain were associated with poor school performance. Now, it is interesting that they found that, an article written by dentists says absences for routine care were not associated, they're saying, with poor school performance. That's something I would follow up, maybe by doing a study not by dentists. I mean, just getting you to think a little critically. I'm not saying they're biased, but it is an interesting finding. Children with poorer health, these are conclusions. Children with poorer health status were more likely to experience dental pain. All right. Miss school, perform poorly in school. These findings suggest that improving children's oral health status may be a vehicle to enhancing their educational experience. I think something that they're not talking about here, and they're not going to mention it, but I've read elsewhere that 50 million school years are missed by children doing all kinds of dental care. Um, I think, pulling children out of school to do dental care is something that you might want to think about a little bit more critically. And I do know, and I'm going to see if I can just do a little live Google search here for our last 2 minutes. And I'm going to see if we can look at something, I'm sorry, you can't see this. I'm doing school initiative for dental care. Let's see if there's something here. I have read recently that there were different school districts starting to do some of this dental care in school systems, and that's going to change the lives of a lot of children. First of all, here we go. So this is from 2013. New York schools offer oral health care clinics. Let's see. So now, if you bring the clinics to the schools, you can make sure that children are not traveling. This is why we don't go to the dentist, by the way. I just read another article about irrational dental fears, and I started thinking these are not irrational fears. Anyhow, I'm sorry about that guy. Oh my goodness. Um, all right, so they're going to do, we always had, oral health care information, but the actual services I do not think have been provided in many schools. All right, so here they go. They're saying here that they're going to have to go into schools that have lower income kids and try to do some of the work there. It looks like it's a pilot program, and it looks like a captive audience certainly in school, including they're talking about other initiatives, for example, for starting information and maybe access to birth control in schools. So New York City is very, proactive in offering health services to children at historically underserved schools. So we can maybe leave it up to you to Google that and see if they had some success with it. All right. I'm sorry about that guy, and we'll just leave it with him. So thanks for listening to this piece. There'll be a little question related to this material on your quiz. Thanks. Bye.